Welcome, everybody. We had a few technical difficulties going on there. But I assure you, it's not related to the fact for this background. This is an actual, real background, not a made up fake digital one. We are coming to you from Costa Rica. And yeah, we've entitled this webinar, The Lifelong Impact of Waldorf. And I wanted to share with you all a little bit about my journey um, from Waldorf in the 1970s to where we are today, coming to you from Costa Rica, from at our own with our own Waldorf school that we have started here. And so what I'm going to do is take you through my journey, and then we'll open it up to like some Q&A afterward if anybody has any questions. But with that, my journey starts with obviously my parents and my mom and dad, Barbara and Lee, my brother Cliff. And in the mid 70s, my parents had two young boys, and my father was interested in exploring alternative education. And what he was looking for was an educational model that not just taught the mind, but touched the heart, that developed the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies. And so my dad went to what I would call the internet of the day, which was the New York Public Library on 42nd Street. At that time, we were living in New Canaan, Connecticut, and my father was working in real estate in New York City. And so, as he was reviewing different publications, he stumbled across one that recommended the Waldorf model of education. And so he explored that and found there was one near Nyack, and he went and took a look from afar about what was going on there, and seemed interested and became so inspired um, around the Waldorf educational model that he decided to leave his real estate career in New York City and join the Waldorf training at Adelphi University in the mid 1970s. And at that time, that program was led by a man named John Gardiner. And what I know over that time is that it eventually morphed into or was part of the birth or emergence of the Garden City, what is now the Garden City Waldorf School. And so my father and mother moved us from New Canaan, Connecticut to Garden City, New York, while my father attended that program. I was still too young to go into the Waldorf school, but my brother was of age, and so he he spent a year at Waldorf, Garden City Waldorf School, while my father went through the program. And I'm so grateful for that decision. And, you see the impacts of this throughout your life. And the next slide I want to share with you is about someone we were just on the phone on this conference call with for a moment. And it was Zaglinda de Francesca. And Zaglinda, as I understand it, was in the same class as my father. And the many years ago, almost 50 years ago, going through that teacher training. And my father has spoken of her glowingly over the years. And little did I know that Zaglinda would have an even more direct impact on my life and our parenting, because she, as many of you know, she wrote a book called The Donzi of Gnomes, and all about different gnomes. And we started reading that book to our daughter Kira when she was younger, and it was her absolute favorite book. Those of you who've read it to your children, you know how it just takes them into a place that is super beautiful. And now Kira is 9 years old and reading that book by herself and absolutely thoroughly enjoying it. And so Ziglinda is on the call with us today. I'm so happy that she was able to join us, and just to have this connection back to something that started so many years ago and in the mid 70s. And so, as my father completed that program, he accepted a position at Kimberton Waldorf School, and which is the second oldest Waldorf school in the country. And so we moved again down to rural Chester County to attend this Waldorf school, which was just an absolutely stunning experience for us. We were in, kindergarten is where my brother and I, who is less than a year older than I am, started in this program. My father was teaching there as well. We lived very nearby. And this was our introduction to the Waldorf experience. But as a kid, you don't. So yeah, there we are, headed to school. I think that was from our Ellis Woods Road house, and we just had an amazing, amazing childhood. And I still remember some of the members of my class. When I see a picture like this, I see Jeremy Scaller and Brian Kavanaugh, Miles Hollander, and Krista, and Troy, and these children that we grew up with in this incredible community called Kimberton. Back then, it was called Kimberton Farm School, prior to transitioning to their current name of Kimberton Waldorf School. But it was just such an extraordinary experience, and one that I think a child like doesn't necessarily appreciate while they're going through it, even though they love it, but they don't realize maybe how different and how impactful the different programs and modalities and teaching methods that Waldorf deploys in order to educate children. But I wouldn't even necessarily call it educate. It's like a support of the blossoming or emergence of a child, and that's what it feels most similar for me. Is not just around education. It is like watering a beautiful flower and providing for it in all different ways. And so we've had that journey through Waldorf. We went there I went there through fourth grade, and then transitioned to another school that was more academically focused. So I had this very broad range of academic experiences that then supported me in my careers in finance and real estate development. But all of it ultimately led back to the creation of the community like I had as a child. And so all those life experiences has informed the key elements of our community here in Costa Rica, which is called Rise Costa Rica, and it integrates residences and a Waldorf-inspired school, certified organic farm, a co-working facility, and a retreat center in one ecosystem. And it's a really exciting time for us because what you're seeing here are the images of the Waldorf School, the Rise School, that is under construction as we speak. We have the school has been open for nearly 3 years, and we have opened that in existing structures here and really appreciated the outdoor nature and the connection to nature that all the children and students here have with the outdoors. And so the new school is modeled based on that learning, with a lot of indoor outdoor connection, particularly as the students get older and older. In fact, today at the school is River Day, so they go down to our river every Friday to create and play and join in the fun and that is nature here. And so when I reflect on how did I end up here from where I started and the journey, I can't help but think of the impact that Waldorf education had on this experience. And I remember from one of maybe a video that they did, they said, we don't just teach skills, we grow capacity. That line has always stuck with me because that is exactly what I felt like I got to enter adulthood with, like a limitless capacity to explore and move in different arenas around career or people or relationships, and the emotional fluidity to move between all of those, and the confidence and resilience. And I attribute a lot of that to the exploration and the guidance and learnings that came from those early years for me as a child, whether it was around music or farming or athletics or play or reading or mythology, all of these components that for me just stimulated all different parts of my being, and allows you to fully to embrace the human experience and in touch with all of these different components of what it's like to be human. And so that has been just an absolute treat and a joy to see how that has come full circle. Kimberton was a place of community. It was a place of connection. It was safe. It was stable. It prioritized healthy eating and clean water and creativity and lifelong learning. And all of that, and particularly, I feel like in this day and age, is more difficult to find. To move through life, to move through parenting in rhythm, in a beautiful cadence with our children and with nature, and to be able to have the space to respond to what you're observing in a way that's not pressurized by the societal forces or other elements, creates the space to be the parents that we desire to be. And that is one of the core values of our community here, is a reverence for our role as parents. And what I feel like we're providing here is the spaciousness and ease to be able to pursue that with passion. And so that has been our journey here through Waldorf. So when I'm thinking about that move, the times we spent at Camp Glenbrook, the times that we spent with all the different teachers that we had, in whether it was music or German or French or eurythmy or main lesson, and really excited and inspired that we're able to create these new elements here. And we've now been operating for 3 years. We're attracting more and more of families that desire to have this experience for their children. We call ourselves a family-focused community, and we mean it. We're attracting those that put that as a priority, and have the willingness to take action to architect the life that they would like. And so I attribute so much of that to my experience at Waldorf. I have such immense gratitude for my parents for making that bold decision at the time, and for being the exquisite, extraordinary parents that they were, because there is no doubt that had a just as big an impact on how my brother and I are experiencing this world. And so I just wanted to share a little bit about that, in case there are other people that are looking, other families that are looking for a lifestyle that aligns around those values. With that, I guess we'll open it up to any questions that people might have. You can put them in the chat, or anybody wants to ask any questions, feel free.
Well, David, we have a few questions. One of those is, well, first, what a gift to the children, parents, and the community. Do you see the possibility of extending Waldorf education for high school and beyond?
I get that question a lot, particularly because at the moment we're planning to go through 7th grade. And so when you have families that are moving here, they're curious, well, what's the plan afterward? And the most honest, genuine answer that I give to them is, I'm not sure yet at this exact moment. I have an idea, of what that looks like. But I also feel like we're in a very fluid time right now. And I do know that high school education will likely look very different from what my high school education, which was not at Waldorf. At that time, I was in a boarding school named Lawrenceville, which was another amazing experience. But I don't think it will look like that. And when I think about what success in that feels like for my daughter, it becomes less around a lot less around memorization and far more around, is she feeling resilient? Is she feeling confident? Is she feeling emotionally capable? Does she feel loved and supported? All of these, I would say, non necessarily academic areas that I feel support one's ability to do anything that they want in their life, and to embrace life as I said, as us as architects of our lives, to create in this world throughout all of our lives, to move between different interests, different passions. And so I have a good idea of what that looks like, but we have not set it in place. And the last part about that is, as our community is gathering here, we've got 12 people building houses here, and probably another 10 more underway this year. I am interested in their input. I'm interested in other people's wisdom, and the invitation to figure out and discern what feels best for our children. And I have every confidence that we will gain complete clarity on that. It doesn't mean that we may not course correct along the way. I think in the face of new information, that is a valuable thing to do. But that's the experience that I'm imagining, and the outcome that I'm visioning for all of our children.
Beautiful. So another question, what's the role of the parents in the Waldorf school?
So let's see. Especially in a community that's small, like we have a lot of conversations. And I know that in the Waldorf model, there's an interplay between the parents and the school. It's interesting because one of the things that I get questions about, like specifically about Waldorf, sometimes I don't have those exact answers, because I'm like, I went to school and had that amazing experience. But there, within our Waldorf community, like sometimes I'm asking answers myself. How is this handled within the Waldorf community? I just know the outcome of what that experience was like for me. But and so part of it is a learning for me as well, and taking in the input from parents, what they're experiencing. And I used this word previously, like discernment. And I think that's really important. I've experienced it a lot in this community building. To me, it's being open to hearing different points of view, and then having the wisdom to understand which ones apply where. And I think that getting all that information from parents is very valuable and helpful as we guide the community.
Nice. So what grades do you have now, and how many students in each class? And are the class combined? Oops.
You broke up there for a second, but I think the question was, are there combined classes? Is that accurate? Got it. So we do have combined classes at the moment as we're growing, and which, I mentioned course correcting. It makes it sometimes challenging to know exactly, when you don't know exactly what kids are coming when, as this school is emerging. I have never started a school before in my life, and but how we've tried to navigate that is to bring in those who have much more experience than I. And so our school director actually was the founder of Guanacaste Waldorf Inspired School. And so she led that for 10 years. And so she has been guiding our school. And interestingly, I've gotten just, reach outs from, there was a teacher at Sanderling Waldorf School who recently reached out to me. Sanderling was where our daughter went to Waldorf while we lived in California. And so I'm feeling like we're creating this attractor for those that desire not only to live here, but also to educate and to teach here. And this environment is really stunning. We're blessed to be in a beautiful mountain valley here in Costa Rica that has access to an urban center, but is deeply connected to nature. We have waterfalls on our property. We have lots of fruit trees and all kinds of natural connections here. And it's not surprising that many would like to come or live here and teach here.
Totally. Thank you. Is there a tuition, and do we have teachers for handwork, languages, and other specialties?
Yes. The tuition is roughly around, I'm going to quote it on like a monthly basis, is roughly around $600 a month for a student. We do have some teachers with specialty skill sets. Mr. Daniil, who is Russian and is preparing to teach Russian in our school. He's also amazing at woodworking and building. Obviously, all the children are doing knitting and crochet. In is a eurythmy teacher. We think we might have one. And it was fascinating because early on in the process, when I was getting advice from other Waldorf administrators and Waldorf teachers, they said one of the hardest things you're going to try to find is eurythmy, and I was surprised at that. But yeah, so we're growing the faculty with each year, and certainly now that the major school is under construction, we just continue to grow with our children. We have a large base at the pre-K and kinder level as well.
We have another question about the community. It says it's a community of like-minded people, how the prices, and I want to know more deep about the way of living there. So I don't know if you want to answer that live or connecting with me.
Sure, I'll say a little bit about our community. We are a community that values, like I said, our reverence for our role as parents, our connection to nature, healthy living, lifelong learning. Entrepreneurship is also a core value for us. It's one that speaks to my heart as well. When I say that word, what it really means to me is creativity. Like, we're creators, action-oriented creators, and that is very inspiring for me to be around. It energizes me. Even the willingness of families to take the action to claim the life that they want is an honor, to create a space for them where they can do that. And so I would say another value that is important for our community is around sovereignty and freedom to make the choices that we want. We're not messaging or communicating that we're open and perfect for everyone. We're really great for a core group of families that align to those values, and so that's what we stick to, and it's why we call ourselves a family-focused community. It's not that we don't attract multiple generations, and that is amazing. We have some older generation coming through and joining the community. I love that, and it's best for the community to be multi-generational. And we also have a retreat center called Kinkara, where we host all manner of different, whether it's yoga, meditation, dance, masterminds. We have a family retreat coming up in July, Family Week, from July 14th to the 20th, which is just so much fun. I absolutely love it. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like the Camp Glenbrook. And we also do like yoga teacher trainings like in October. But if you'd like to reach out, Alejandra is the best source of information to find out more, not only about school and farming, and all the different priorities that we have here. But that information is on the website.
Thank you for that. We have the last question is about the challenge of moving from a foreign country like United States to Costa Rica. What do you find that the challenging things were for you?
So there's nothing that I would point to that is Costa Rica specific that makes it very difficult. There's relaxed visa requirements. The path to residency is easy. You don't have to leave every 90 days if you don't have it. There's things that are more challenging, like cars are expensive here because of import duties, but we just all drive old cars. And so who cares? I know in the United States that these days that might seem odd, but why do we need a new car? It's one of the things I enjoy is helping families move here. We've obviously helped a number of families already. When we moved here 4 years ago, within 1 year, 5 of our best friends and their children followed us and moved here. No intention when we left that year earlier of going anywhere, much less out of the country. So from a daughter's standpoint, we moved here and then all her friends moved here. So it worked out really, really lovely. But if you have even more specific questions, I welcome answering those. And Alejandra is great at it as well. But it's not as far as you think. And it's not as difficult as you think. There may be personal or specific areas that you need to get over, but the gap between the life that you have and the life that you want, if this is it, is not nearly as wide as a lot of people project, and we can help.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And we don't have more questions. We have a few nice messages. Thank you to everybody for your kind words in the chat. And I think that's it, David.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. It's been a real pleasure just to share about my journey, how we ended up here, and why we love it here. And if for anybody who wants to come and visit, whether it's a Kinkar or Family Week or come for a lifetime, we're here. And I appreciate you inviting us into your home and allowing us to speak with you today. Thank you all so much. Take care.